warm-up is about studying the past. So why do you think historians study the past in detail? What do you think historians are trying to achieve by writing and talking about the past? And what could be some positive outcomes of studying history? Again, today is February 12th. And today, this is the week of the 12th through the 16th. So make sure you have that on your warm-up sheets. Make sure you are unplugged, and please make sure phones are put away. Just a reminder. I know Freddie again. The other Diego, I'm sorry, Diego. I don't see Diego. Okay. Raven, are you doing your warm up? Okay. Just a gentle reminder, please make sure you have 3 complete sentences, okay, as your response. Does anyone want to share what they vote for their response to the warm-up? No pressure, just want to give you the opportunity if you so choose to have the need to share.
No? I'm just walking around, I see some interesting responses.
So, it's optional, you don't have to.
Yeah, it's not like we're gonna force you to share.
We do like knowing your thoughts, but that's okay.
Exactly. The reason. Oh yeah, go ahead, David.
Historians write in great detail for the past so that they can keep a record of how things have changed and how things were. That way that we may predict or apply that to modern day to see how things will change. Because those who forget the past, those who forget the past are going to repeat it.
You know what? You said a lot of things there that I found really interesting. I like how you said that we study the past in detail to know what went wrong so that we don't repeat our mistakes. Is that basically, did I get it right?
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, that's right. Yeah.
Yep, that was a great response. I agree with that. I think there are some details that when we look at them, then we see, okay, this went wrong, or this went really well. Can we do that again? Right? Can we do that again? Or if it went wrong, can we not do that again? How do we avoid doing that again? Over here, any comments? Bennett, did you want to make a comment about?
I actually disagree. I actually quite like history, but I don't think it's that important necessarily to do it all. I just think it's kind of fun, right? And it's interesting to know, like, about our history and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I would say, well, that is a good quote. I'd say it's not super accurate in the, like, wider version of history. Because if you're looking at your mistakes, I feel like then you're not, but I feel like at least from, it doesn't really work that way, just like knowing history doesn't stop you from like, because also history doesn't like, it doesn't focus on a lot of mistakes. You know what I mean? It focuses on like the big parts of it, so not what kind of made things like not work very well. If it is, then it's like a huge scale, right? If it's like, oh, this didn't work well, it caused World War II, it caused World War I, it caused this like massacre, then that's gonna be recorded. But like that itself won't really help because there's always gonna be people who want power and feel like
So, a lot of interesting things. I agree. I think history is fun to look at. If you've ever done your own family genealogy, guess what? I think of you as a historian. If you've ever watched a documentary, guess what? That might be a fun activity, but yeah, I refer to you as a historian. You're interested in the past. We can talk a little bit later, another time, about what the study of history means to you guys. We can talk about some changes that you might want to make in studying history, but I think that's a whole other conversation for another time, okay? But the idea is that Elie Wiesel wrote this history in detail so that it doesn't happen again. Elie Wiesel really had trouble publishing this book, and why? He was trying to get it published during the late 1940s and the early 50s, and he just couldn't find a publisher for it. And that was happening because he said that people wanted to ignore what he had to say. So he said people wanted to forget about the Holocaust. It was too much trauma. It was too problematic. It was too sad. It made people feel sad. So they didn't want to read about it. But what a wonderful record that we have, right? I'm so glad that we get to read Elie Wiesel's words and his amazing details, right? He writes about from when he was a teenager, things that happened. He was writing this 10 years after it happened with amazing detail. So I just wanted to not harp on this, but I wanted to give you guys some background about his role as a historian. Okay, really quick, because I want to go over our rhetorical devices. So we know about our rhetorical appeals, right? We have 3 rhetorical appeals. What are they, folks? Remember that rhetorical triangle? Ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos, pathos, and logos. Since you said ethos first, let's do that. What is ethos appealing to? What is ethos's appeal? What is making us believe it? What?
Christ-centered.
What is it?
Christ-centered.
Presenter, excellent. Yeah, is this person a presenter, or another word for presenter, for ethos?
A boss.
A boss, awesome. Is this person a boss? Is this person a champion? Okay, any other words? Reliable. Is this person an authority figure? Okay,
Brave.
awesome. They could be brave, but I'm mostly looking for, is this person in charge? When you said boss, Jan, that clued me in. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. I know that you mean that this person is an authority figure. Okay, pathos. Remember path.
Feelings.
Feelings. Remember we said sympathy. What's another word that with path in it? Empathy. Psychopathy could be. So we're talking about feelings. Okay, psychopathy being a lack of feelings, right? So feelings is what we're talking about when we talk about path or pathos. And finally, we have logos. What's logos?
Logos like information. Some information
Yeah.
that you got from like, well, it's probably like some Google stuff that you, like when you do some researches.
Okay, so some data maybe?
Yeah, some data. Some
numbers?
yeah.
Okay, so that's true. We're going to look at an example of pathos, or it might not be an example of pathos. You guys will decide. So I'm glad we ended on that. Here's our motivator. So is this an example of logos? So I'm going to read it out loud. Yes, and this takes place when people are starting to hear about some of the kidnappings or some of the rounding up of people that's going on. We're starting to hear about that here in the book. Yes, we even doubted Hitler's resolve to exterminate us, annihilate an entire people, wipe out a population dispersed throughout so many nations, so many millions of people. By what means? In the middle of the 20th century. And thus, my elders concerned themselves with all manner of things, but not with their own fate. Okay, so think about that. Read it over if you need to. I'm going to start to count you off by numbers. Okay. Ready? Can you set up for me, please? I'm going to give you a number. Okay. Okay, so you're 1. Ready? You're a 2. Okay. Bennett, you're a 1. David, you're a 2.
Bless you.
Can you be a 1? Can you be a 2? Can you work together? Can you be a 1? Can you be a 2? Yeah. Back here, Kira. Is it Kira? 1. Douglas, you're a 2. Back here, Oak. Can you be a 2? Can you be a 1? Okay, we work together. Can you be a 1? Is that okay? You're a 1. Can you work with Jan? Okay. And over here, I think we'll work together. Okay? Great. 1, 2. Okay? 1 and 2. Ready to work together? 1 and 2. 1 and 2. And actually, Giancarlo can come up here to work. Okay? So what you will do is with your partner, I numbered you off with a person. If you're a 1, you have a partner that's a 2 that's closest to you. I want you to talk with that person about your feelings. Is this an example of logos? Is this an example of logic? Do these people, are they reasoning? All right, turn to your partner and talk. Giancarlo, come on in. annihilate
I think it is.
wipe out a population just first without so many nations, so many millions of people.
You're gonna talk to each other anyway, because logo. Discuss.
Ah, so that's what they're thinking. That's what they're that's true. They are reasoning. Quite interesting. Now, was their reasoning accurate? Yeah. Why is it not? Ah. Very interesting. Alright, so wrap up your conversations, please.
Are you sick? You got stuff, okay? It's almost 2:30, okay? Hang in there. Almost.
Alright, so let me get a show of hands, please. Who said that yes, this is an example of logos? Just show of hands. Who said absolutely not, this is not logical? Alright, let's start with the people who said this is not logical. What would you want to share? Did you want to share, Nicole? Why? No, but you talked about it, right? Somebody who said this was logical, what's your reasoning? Bennett, go ahead.
The reason logic is the reason why Hitler's not gonna kill them. It's not possible, so he can't affect us. He couldn't do it. It's the 21st century. Who would try that?
Right. Now, you guys, this is a question for all of you. Were the elders correct? No. Right? And authorities still tried to wipe out the elders and their people. Right? So many millions of people, they said they couldn't do it. Right? So this is an example. I would accept this as an example of logos, because even though they were not correct, as Naeem is indicating, they did have some insight. They had some thought that they were trying to figure it out. How could this possibly happen? This is not going to happen. The point is, they could not have imagined all of the things that would take place to try and wipe out people, right? They could not have imagined that. They could not use their reasoning properly, because it was so vast, right? Right, so good. I'm glad that we talked about an example of reasoning, and I hope that you use that as we're going forward so that you don't forget where we are going. The majority of the things that Elie Wiesel wrote during his lifetime have to do with taking a stand against injustice. So we will be looking at Elie Wiesel's purpose as taking a stand against injustice. What makes this book talk about people in a way that says something bad happened that was not fair to people? That's why we're studying these rhetorical appeals. So for our common writing task, we will be switching gears with our text. We'll be using different texts and discussing the rhetorical devices in those texts. We're not there yet. We're focusing on Night right now. We're focusing on our novel right now. Okay, today we will be annotating two passages. Two passages, don't worry, I will get you through the first one. I see that one. Don't worry, I will help you with the first one. By the end of class, hopefully we have time for this, you'll start developing a paragraph. And don't worry, I've also developed a graphic organizer for you to help you out with your paragraph, okay? Here's our objective today. I don't want to bring too much attention to this, but I know that we have a visitor in the room. Our visitor is my supervisor from my university. So that person is a professional. His name is Dr. Caruso. He's from a professional learning environment. He's been around adolescents and teenagers for a long time, and he knows what he's doing. He's really good at talking about education. So after class, he's going to be giving me feedback. That's what he's doing here. Okay. We also have our video camera on. I know we've been talking about setting that up for some weeks. So here it is. Today was the day, guys. Okay. So what we are doing today, our objective is to identify rhetorical devices within those two passages I talked about, and to begin your paragraph, which talks about Elie Wiesel's purpose, the effect of one rhetorical device. Okay, first we will be looking for rhetorical appeals, and then we will do some independent work. Our first look is going to be with me. Then you guys will move on to independent work. All right. Okay, I need a student helper. Bennett, do you want to be my student helper? Okay. Can I also get a student helper on this side? You want to do it? I need you to pass these out to this part of the room, okay? Okay, thank you. What's that? Yes, you can move back. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. Jay, can you pass these back? Yeah? And can you pass these back? I think they have enough to go into the bag. Let's see, Douglas. Pass that over, please. Thank you. All right, does anyone want?
Oh, no, they had it.
Okay, perfect. So let's read the passage together, and then let's take a look at what I did in order to annotate. Okay. Directions. The directions say, identify the speaker's purpose, and then annotate. Define specific rhetorical techniques he uses to reinforce this purpose. Guys, did we talk about injustice earlier? Yes or no? Did we talk about injustice earlier? Yeah, we did. And I want your purpose to always connect back to injustice. Douglas, does that make sense? Yes? Okay. So I want to show you what I did. So a lot of students come to annotations and they think it's okay to underline or highlight and then leave their annotations alone after that. Guess what I want you to do? I want you to take notes. I want you to write on this passage. Okay, so what I did, first of all, and this might be very faint for you, I wish I could make it bigger, but I can't. I followed the directions. First, I identified the speaker's purpose. I said that was paragraph 1. In paragraph 1, to evoke sympathy or pity for the detained Jewish population. So I said that was pathos, right? Then I gave 2 examples. I highlighted or I underlined. You don't have to have a highlighter to do this, right? You can just underline it. All those whose lives I had shared for years. So remember, this takes place when Elie Wiesel is inside the first ghetto. And if you remember back to day one, we discussed what a ghetto is, how that's a small enclosed area with many thousands of people living inside of it in close quarters. Well, these people are being gathered up or rounded up, and they are walking from one place to another. They are walking from a big ghetto to a small ghetto. Elie Wiesel gets to watch the people because he has one more day before he leaves himself. So he has a little bit of time before he has to leave. So they passed me by one after the other, my teachers, my friends, the others, some of whom I had once feared, some of whom I had found ridiculous, all those whose lives I had shared for years. There they went, defeated, their bundles, their lives in tow, having left behind their home, their childhood. I'm actually gonna keep on going so you can follow along on your sheet. I'm on the second paragraph. They passed me by like beaten dogs with never a glance in my direction. They must have envied me. The procession disappeared around the corner. A few steps more and they were beyond the ghetto walls. The street resembled fairgrounds deserted in haste. There was a little of everything: suitcases, briefcases, bags, knives, dishes, banknotes, papers, faded portraits. All the things one planned to take along and finally left behind, they had ceased to matter. Open rooms everywhere. Gaping doors and windows looked out into the void. It all belonged to everyone, since it no longer belonged to anyone. It was there for the taking, an open tomb, a summer sun. Okay, so let's come back to my first paragraphs. Why I said that this used pathos to evoke sympathy or pity for the detained Jewish population. So first, I highlighted all those whose lives I had shared for years. I don't know why I can't do this. Okay. Then I drew a line and I said, this part shows sympathy to neighbors regardless of his opinion about them. So regardless of whether he found them ridiculous or not, he still had empathy or sympathy for that person, right? He was being inclusive in his empathy or his sympathy. Right, second part, I underlined defeated, because that really gave me a sense of how these people felt. Again, feeling is pathos. Their bundles, their lives in tow, having left behind their home, their childhood. And I wrote a note that says neighbors are torn away, so the reader takes pity on them. Okay, special question. There's something interesting about putting these two examples together. There's something particular about these two examples. Does anyone see why I wanted these particular examples together? There's something special about them. I know you guys are in 7th period. So one of them I said is inclusive, and one of them is leaving stuff behind. So what's particular about that? You want to say? You know what it is, don't you? Still thinking about it? Okay. Neem, you've been quiet today. Do you want to say?
I don't know.
Okay. Just give it a shot.
I think it's like showing how the difference.
The differences, yes. These two are different. The people are all together, right? But the thing is that they're all leaving stuff behind. So in a way, they're opposites. Now, you don't have to go that far. That's a rhetorical technique or a literary device called juxtaposition. We're not gonna go too far into that, but these are opposites that you can use if you're defending, talking about people's feelings or people's logic or other appeals. Okay, good. I don't want to get too far into that. What I do want you to do is I want you to find 2 more examples of rhetorical devices in the rest of the passage. If you are a 1, you can use the same partner that you used for our motivator earlier. So get with that same person that you worked with before and figure out what are 2 other examples. Now, it's kind of hard to come up with ethos in this, but I guarantee you can find some pathos and you might find some logos. Try to come up with 2 more examples of logos and pathos. Turn and talk to a partner and work together. Let's take like 3 minutes to do this. Maybe 4. Yes. And if you'd like to, but mostly I want you to work with a partner on something new. Okay, this you can do. Yep, 2 more.
I can write. I can.
Oh, okay.
Kira, I can get So you underlined I know, I see that you did that like really, really fast. Is that, did it just stand out to you? Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, but tell me why. So, you're using feeling. So, let's just take the first part. It has to be dogs. We're gonna talk about a lot of
Did you already found 2 more examples of rhetorical devices? That's what you're gonna find in 2 more.
You wanna focus on
The rest of
that,
the passage.
how it makes you feel.
2 more examples. As Ms. Stover said, it may be difficult to find
Okay,
ethos of
okay,
definitely.
yeah, so I think more than logos and pathos. Yeah, I think that's pathos.
More examples. Starting with the past.
Hi, are those thoughts getting down in your drawing? I didn't think so.
Okay, we gotta stay on task. I know everyone's tired, it's the last period of the day, but we need you for about 12 more minutes, okay?
Yeah, what about this one? What do you think? Pathos, logos?
Do your annotation, that's what I'm saying. I don't know, you're supposed to be actually annotating by writing.
Yeah,
So you need to be writing it, you need to be able to see.
So I want you guys to write, right? Like the
Please.
example, I
Thank
want
you.
notes. You don't have to highlight, but you can underline what you're doing. I wanna see those notes. So if that one doesn't stick out to you, then go for another paragraph. Which one sticks out to you? Just think in terms of pathos, Stephen. Cause I know, there's a lot of times. Which one sticks out to you? Take another 30 seconds, you guys. I definitely want to see some more notes. I'm seeing like 1 note. Yep, Juliana's got about 2 notes on there already, or 3 notes. Okay. Okay. So, conversations. So many people have underlined they passed me by like beaten dogs with never a glance in my direction. They must have envied me. So is that a good example of ethos, pathos, logos? What would you guys say? Pathos, what'd you say, Julianne? You say logos? Why'd you say logos? Because he thinks what? Bless you. That oh, that's true. He is thinking that they envy him. Can I press that a bit? Why do they envy him?
Because he gets to stay an extra day.
Yes, because he gets to stay those extra 24 hours, which might be miserable for him, but he is still thinking they probably envy me. So yes, I would say that's logos. Did anybody else get pathos? They passed me by like beaten dogs. And I know that there's an image or an interesting literary device in there. Who can say what it is? It uses the word like or as, so it's a simile. Yes, it's a simile. Excellent. So you don't have to point out those kinds of things, those kinds of devices, but it helps sometimes to think, oh, well, the thing that's getting the comparison might be a sad thing, or might be something that makes me smile, that makes me happy. In this case, what do we think? Happy or sad? Beaten dogs. Is that supposed to make us, how's that supposed to make us feel?
Sad.
More on the sad side. I would agree with that. Has anybody here ever seen a beaten dog? Like on the Dodo or on an Instagram account? Yeah. And did it feel kind of sad? It did, right? Thank you. So, why did it make you feel sad?
It's a beaten dog.
Right, and I agree with that. What's a word you could use to describe that?
Sad.
I mean, besides sad, would you say anything else?
Dreadful.
It's dreadful. Yeah, it's a dreadful thing to look at, isn't it? So same here. People are like these beaten dogs that are so dreadful to look at. So yes, I agree, that is pathos as well. Okay, in the interest of time, I think we will move on to our second piece of work. All right, passage 2. And this will come around to you guys. Bennett, I need your help again. Can you pass these out to the side? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So in passage 2, yes, thank you. We have just enough time for us to practice a little more close reading. You will do this not with a partner, but independently. Okay.
You're welcome.
Does everyone have the second passage?
On that side, Nicole, you have one? Okay, Erica, you have one? Yes, you do?
Oh, you got extra one?
Extra ones, thank you. Okay, so we just have a few minutes, but I just want to go over with you. Let's read just the first 3 paragraphs together. So again, the directions are the same. You have to identify the speaker's purpose and then annotate to find specific rhetorical techniques he uses to reinforce. What do you need, Joe? You have passage 2? Oh, you need this one. Yep. Okay. Okay. Here's the passage. At 9 o'clock, the previous Sunday's scenes were repeated. Policemen wielding clubs were shouting, "All Jews outside!" So this is a repeat of the passage that we saw earlier. People are lining up in the hot summer sun, and policemen are forcing them to stay in place, in line outside. We were ready. I went out first. I did not want to look at my parents' faces. I did not want to break into tears. We've remained sitting in the middle of the street like the others 2 days earlier. The same hellish sun, the same thirst. Only there was no one left to bring us water. Okay, so I want you guys to independently find examples of pathos, logos, and ethos. So same drill. I would like to make a comment about pathos in this, but I will give you guys about 2 minutes to work, and then we can talk about what pathos has to do with injustice, okay? Because there is a purpose of using feelings to communicate injustice, okay? We always want to connect back to injustice in this case. So you should be making some notes. Okay.
The second passage.
Ready?
I get it, it's we're almost finished. I get it, may not be interesting to you, but this is, the curriculum. Okay, so, and we did a great job with this, the same thing with this, okay? Then we have the FACU, the notes, the annotations, okay? Make sure your first and last name and period is 7 okay?
Okay, we have just about 2 minutes left. Really quick, look up, guys. I want to see, here's my question for you. I want to check with you guys. Do you have an understanding of logos, pathos, ethos? If yes, if you have a yes, good, solid understanding, please give me a thumbs up. You can hold your thumb really close. Okay? If you have a medium understanding, kind of put your thumb to the side. That's fine. That's why I want to know. If you don't have a great understanding, put your thumb down, and I'll know to get to you. Okay. So our homework for tonight, that gives me a better idea, you guys. Our homework for tonight is a rhetorical device paragraph. So I want you to go into our electronic, classroom in Canvas, and you can start the first part of your paragraph. Part 1 of your paragraph is just providing a summary, okay? So tonight, I would like you to start going in and start completing your summary about what happened before this passage. We're supposed to be doing this about passage 2. What passage are we supposed to be looking at for our homework, for the paragraph? What? Passage 2, thank you very much. Those of you that did not take notes today, I will be getting to you tomorrow. Before you go, and we're not lining up at the door, Bennett, do not get up, please.
And the bell has not rung,
The
guys.
bell has not rung yet, that's for all of you. We remain in our seats until the bell rings.
And phones away also.
I'm gonna give you the hint. Name, hold it for a second right here. Okay, we can go ahead and put up the chairs. I will see you guys tomorrow. More about this. Thank you.
So that one is tonight, right?
No, we're running in class tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. So just look at the first box. And fill in the first box, summary. Okay?
So Ms. B, I did I went over, I didn't say anything, but we had a little silent exchange.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, yeah,
he turned it off.
okay,
Now, it always results with him putting it down, but I'll just say,
okay.
but yeah, he did, he kind of looked at me and